band limited channels. This is what the topic of discussion. Right. When it comes to channels, two types of channels are come across. One is baseband channels. Another one is band pass channels. Baseband channels are capable of following all the frequencies present in baseband signals. Okay. Usually baseband signals are having their energy completely present around frequencies very close to zero. Right. They are the original signals generated to represent information. But band pass channels are present somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. Let us say we have something called waveguides, correct, or microwave channels. These channels are capable of transmitting only gigahertz. They start somewhere around 1 gigahertz. They can go extend up to 5 giga, 10 giga, 20 giga, like that. They do not allow lower frequencies. They do not allow much higher frequencies. These kind of channels are called band pass channels. Band pass. All right. So when you pass a signal through the channel, first of all, you should know whether this channel is a baseband channel or band pass channel. So baseband channel is capable of transmitting frequencies from 0 to some value. Let us say 0 to BC. Okay. Channel bandwidth. Right. Right. Look at this statement. The baseband channel is band limited to frequency BC. That means, look at this pulse. Look at this here. It's a frequency axis. Don't get confused with the pulse in the last, right? It's a frequency axis. Go to another. Yeah. Look at this F. It's a spectrum. And this symbol C of F. That means the spectrum of the channel. Okay. Frequency response of the channel. So this channel is capable of allowing frequencies from 0 to BC. It does not allow any frequency greater than BC. So this channel can be treated as a baseband channel because it's starting from 0. It's allowing frequencies somewhere around 0. Right. These kind of channels are baseband channels. We shall start our discussion with baseband channels. The channels are baseband, so we can easily transmit the baseband signals like rectangular pulses, right? Which is also having frequency from 0 to some 1 by pulse width. Okay. So that's why all the signals you are transmitting now should have the frequency less than this BC, to pass through this one. Okay. The channel is characterized as a linear feature, as I said, with impulse response C of t and frequency response C of f. Now, here C of f is simply the Fourier transform of C of t. Nothing but Fourier transform in C of f. If you want, you have to integrate C of t after multiplying it e power minus k to pi of t. This is a Fourier transform equation. Right. Look at this. This is also C of f, and this one also. Right. This C of f, what I told, here I have just drawn this one to show that the channel is having frequencies up to BC. Correct. But here I have assumed the channel as a linear filter. Okay. A linear system should have a magnitude response as a linear representation. Okay. The square is not linear. Okay. There is an abrupt change from 0 to 1. See, 1 to 0 and 0 to 1, the abrupt changes make the system non-linear, right? But I want my channel to be linear. That's why we change the frequency response of the channel like this. It's a gradual change. It's like a sine wave. It's like a part of sine wave, a sinc function, which is very gradual. This makes the system linear. Okay. So this diagram represents magnitude response of the band limited channel. This CFF and this CFF both are same. This is non-linear representation. This is the linear representation. Okay. So both of them are showing the maximum frequency as BC. Then what is W? W is the maximum frequency of the signal. So the maximum frequency of the signal must be equal to BC, if not less than BC. We always suggest W should always be less than BC, if not at least equal to BC. Okay. And this is going to be the frequency response, sorry, phase response. Okay. These two put together, these two diagrams put together called frequency response. The frequency response is complex. It's a complex value. This frequency response here is a complex value. It has two parts, magnitude and phase. Magnitude should appear like this. Phase should be a linear phase. Phase nothing but delay. Okay. Here it is not shown. Okay. Up to here, it should be BC. Up to here, it should be minus BC. After BC, it can be like anything because you don't take that one at all because magnitude will be 0 after that one. Okay. So from minus BC to plus BC, the phase should vary linearly for a linear system. This is the characteristic behavior of a linear filter, right? Next we have here, I just written a block diagram here to show that what is the purpose of channel. A band limited channel will accept the pulses GT of t and try to produce H of t. Okay. The sequence of pulses are converted to H of t. This is the H of t is another sequence of pulses with minor changes. To that noise is added N of t. Okay, right. Here H of t, this fellow, is given by convolution of C of t into GT of t. Right. It's the convolution. Next, H of f is equal to C of f into GT of f. So convolution in time domain is equal to multiplication frequency domain. I have told that one. So can use any one of these relations to calculate the output of the channel, right? And since the relation is convolution, we can write this convolution equation also. Okay, H of t is equal to integral of C of t becomes C of tau, GT of t becomes GT of t minus tau d. This is a convolution equation accordingly. So this GT of t is the input waveform to the channel. And this is the response of the channel, right? H of t goes to the receiver. At the input of the receiver, we have two waveforms, H of t and N of t. Both are added. Yeah. I've reproduced this block diagram once again. Right. So in the previous topic, we reached up to this point, H of t plus N of t. Now we are going to talk about R of t. R of t is H of t plus N of t. Next is receiving filter. Yeah. Here's the sentence. The demodulator that is coming inside the receiving filter implies a filter which is matched to the signal H of t. Okay. Demodulator is a matched filter. It's having a filter. This maximizes the SNR at the output. So, okay. Usually, this matched filter designed such that signal to noise ratio should be maximum. That means signal to noise ratio. That means signal power divided by noise power should be maximum. Means either noise power should be reduced or signal power should be increased so that the SNR is larger. Until SNR is larger, decision becomes easy. Therefore, we pass the received signal H of t plus N of t through the filter that has a frequency response. This fellow. As I said, this receiving filter is a matched filter. Okay. Receiving filter is a matched filter whose frequency response should be equal to the frequency response of H of t. That is, this H of t is there now input to this input H of t is there, whose frequency response is H of f. Okay. So this should be same as this one. This GR of f, frequency response of this filter, correct, should be matched to H of f, that is incoming signal frequency response, so that they produce the same thing at the output. So GRF should produce the same thing at the output in t power minus j 2 pi of t naught. Why this t pi of t naught? Because it is here the sampling is happening. Okay, sampling is happening. So this will produce a delay. So now the response of the channel is given to the receiver. The receiver should be designed so that the incoming signal should go to the output. Okay. E power minus 2 pi of t is just a phase shift. It's just a phase shift. Okay. T naught is some nominal time delay. Okay. Magnitude spectrum should be same thing. So what I'm trying to convey is that the receiver should allow. Hey, guys, mute. Hello. Somebody has unmute. Yeah. Oh, that's good. So what you have to do, the receiver should have same H of F at the output of the receiver, but there can be additional phase shift. This will be there automatically because of the time taken by the receiver to, but without this we cannot avoid this one. So the output of receiver is always same as the input of the receiver, except some small phase shift. The phase shift will be 2 pi f t naught. Right. Next, afterwards, we come to the output y of t. Y of t is the integral of h of f square t of f. So how did you get this equation? Right? This equation is directly taken from the matched filter topic. If you recall, during first internals, before this lockdown happens, I had given the notes of the second module, right? At the end of the second module, there is a topic called matched filter. You might have already read that. In that matched filter, we have proved this equation. Okay. So whenever I say a particular system is a matched filter whose output can be taken as y of t naught, which is given by integration of h of f square. Okay. Y t naught is giving some extra delay, that one at a particular time delay. The output is given by integration of h of square. Okay. What is h of f? H of f is the frequency response of h of t. H of f is the frequency response of h of t. H of f square is the power. H of f integration is energy. Okay. This is a calculation of energy of the incoming signal at a particular time t naught. Okay. But this energy calculation is shown in frequency domain. In my coming slide, I'm also going to give this one in time domain. Okay. So energy can be either calculated in time domain or frequency domain. Right. So as a summary, if I say any system is matched filter, that time output of this matched filter can be taken as h of f square. H of f is the frequency response of the input. Okay. Time being, this integral is denoted as epsilon h. Keep this as epsilon h. This is the output at t equal to t naught. At the output of the receiver. Okay. So we have discussed about signal component already. What is the signal component? H of t. Frequency response h of t is h of f. The same h of f is produced at the output of the receiving filter. Okay. Right. And the corresponding equations. Now what happened to the noise component? The noise component at the output of the matched filter has a zero mean and power spectral density of this one. Noise is a random signal. So output of the receiver again is going to be a random only, but it is having a zero mean. Mean means expectation of the noise is zero. So we don't expect that noise. But even though you don't expect, this noise is existing and it changes the power. It's called power spectral density. That means noise is having a power spectral density, maximum power value, which is given by Sn of f. Watts per hertz. Okay. So Sn of f is power spectral density, watts per hertz. That means it is the total amount of power present in 1 hertz bandwidth, okay, which is given by n0 by 2 into h of f square. n0 by 2 is the power spectral density of white noise into h of f square means, that means when the noise is added in the channel, it was n0 by 2. After passing through the receiver, it becomes into h of f square. Why h of f square? H of f comes from h of t. H of t is a voltage signal. H of f is also voltage in frequency domain. H of f square is a power. S is a power. S of F is power spectral density. So H of F square is also power, right? That's why. So this is power spectral. N naught by 2 is power spectral density. H of F is power. So total is power spectral density. That means before receiver, the noise was present completely. N naught by 2 is a constant. It is completely present at all the frequencies, wideband. Correct. But after passing through the filter, it becomes a narrow band. The receiver confines it to a small value. Okay. So noise is dealt like this. So SNFF is noise power spectral density. That means power by bandwidth. If you want noise power, not the power density, noise power, you have to integrate this one. Correct? So SNFF unit is what? Watts per hertz. DFF into hertz. Hertz cancel out as watts. So if you integrate this flow, if you integrate, you will get this value. Okay. N naught by 2 is a constant. This integration I have seen in the previous slide. Integral of H of F square is nothing but epsilon H. Epsilon H. So finally, we come to this one, SNR, at the output of the matched filter. Signal to noise ratio. So what is the signal to noise ratio? Signal power, and this is the noise power. Okay, this is calculated. Epsilon H cancels. So that is what is left with. Okay. So one epsilon H cancels with this flow, another epsilon is left out. So this is going to be signal to noise ratio of this particular topic. So when you pass a baseband signal through a baseband channel, you are going to get this signal to noise ratio. So what you have to do, what should be signal to noise ratio at the output? It should be maximum. More the signal power, more the detection, less the error. So errors will be automatically reduced. So that's why I want to keep this SNR maximum. Until SNR is maximum, the errors will be less. So you have to keep the maximum SNR. That means you have to increase epsilon H. N hat we cannot change. You have to increase epsilon H. To increase epsilon H, you go back to previous slide and see what I have done. So this you have to work upon. So this H of square integration should be a greater value. If you give this value very great value, so automatically SNR increases. So communication will be successful. Right. This is about digital transmission through band limited channels. Right. So we already discussed all these things. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'll give few more equations here, which are same thing what I discussed. I'll put it in mathematical form. V of t, I'm writing an equation for V of t. V of t is a summation minus infinity plus infinity, but it's an infinite number of terms. It's having infinite number of terms of what by gt of t. Gt of t is a rectangular pulse. Gt of t minus t, shifted rectangular pulse. Nt. So n can be an integer. Minus infinity plus. That means it is a pulse train. There are going to be infinite number of pulses of amplitude an. Okay. See this one. In this gt of t, there is no n except here. Okay. This n says shift. This an says amplitude. So every pulse is having two things. One is its amplitude. Another one is the position. Okay. A pulse is defined by its amplitude and its position. So first pulse will be at the origin, n equal to 0. Second pulse will be at n equal to 1, shifted by capital T. Third pulse will be n equal to 2, shifted by 2t. So like that, pulse will be present after a period of capital T with different amplitude. Okay, this is the pulse train. Right. Since every pulse is defined by two values, it's amplitude and phase, that means shift. It's a complex signal. right? It's a complex signal. So equation for V of t I have given. Next, from this V of t, we calculate H of t, which is convolution told already. From this, we come to the R of t. R of t is the received signal. Now, what is the received signal now? Received signal, this R of t is actually H of t. H of t minus nt. So come to here. What is the pulse transmitted? GT of t. What is the pulse you are receiving? H of t. So H of t and GT of t may be different because of the channel in between. Okay. This is C of t come from channel. So shifted. Then extra noise gets added. Okay. But we assume that amplitude remains same, AN. Only shape changes. Finally, shape changes because noise is added just now. So that's why pulse shape changes because of the band limited channel. Channel is band limited. It can remove some frequencies or add some frequencies. Anything can happen, but amplitude is assumed to be same. Information is not lost. Okay. Use capital T. Capital T is the symbol interval. That is symbol period. Symbol repetition time. So T comes 1 by RB. T comes 1 by RB. 1 by RB is the bit rate. Correct. RB is the bit rate. But in one symbol, if there are many bits, for example, in quadri system, M equal to 4 symbols are there. 4 symbols means in binary, there are only 2 symbols. But actually in quadri, 4 symbols are there. To represent 4 symbols, you can use binary if you want. 2 bits taken at a time. 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, like that. So that time, every bit is having, every symbol is having 2 bits. That time K goes to 2. For octa, K goes to 3. 3 bits if you take, you can represent 8 different symbols. So like that. Binary system, this K is equal to 1. Okay. Right. RB stands for binary. Okay. 1 by T is the symbol rate. Okay. Capital T is the symbol duration, means 1 by symbol duration is symbol rate. That is RB by K. Bit rate is RB. So symbols information again. So conclusion, right. You have chosen rectangular pulses, then passing through channel, it gives a convolution. After convolution, output of the channel is coming out with a different pulse shape because band limited channel might have changed the shape of the pulse. H of t is coming out, right? And this R of t is converted to Y of t by this receiving filter. Okay. So after passing the receiving filter, H of t may be changed to X of t. The receiving filter also may change the pulse shape. Who knows? X of t. This X of t minus nt Vt. So this is new. Actually, this symbol is not a V. It's a new symbol. This new symbol comes from N of t. That is noise passing through the channel. So N of t passes through the channel, and this got this value. That means receiving filter also may change the pulse shape. Right. So this finally X of t. What is this X of t? Whatever taken is H of t, transmitting filter convolution, receiving filter. That is transmitting filter, C of t and G of t, all are convoluted. That means when a signal is passing through system to system, the overall response is given by the convolution of the cascades. You know that one in linear system, when the systems are cascaded, the overall response of the system is given by the convolution of the individual impulse responses. So if you are passing only through transmitting filter, GT of t, and channel and transmitting filter, GT of t convolution C of t, channel and receiving filter, GT of t, C of t, G of t. All the 3 are converged to get the overall response. So after passing the signal, input signal through all these 3, we'll end up with a new pulse shape called X of t. That's a new pulse shape, which is going to produce Y of t. Okay. This is the time domain equation. In the earlier slides, I discussed frequency domain interpretation. This is a time domain set of equations, what we consider. So nu of t, this one, nu of t is equal to N of t, convolution G of t. Noise after passing through receiver, we'll end up with nu. Okay. Right. So what is the time now? Guys, what time you have next class?
12:01.
12, huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let me check.
12:01 ಇಲ್ಲ sir, cancel.
Cancelled, huh?
sir.
Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'll finish up this slide. Okay. Yeah, this is over. No. Right. Okay. Fine. Guys, yeah. To recover the information from the receiving filter, we sample the signal at every t seconds. The sampler produces. I saw a previous slide. Let's get back to previous slide here. Y of t, this equation y of t, then this y of t here sampled. So y of t becomes y of mt. So the signal is sampled at t is equal to mt. M is an integer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into capital T. So when you take one sample, x of t becomes x of mt minus nt shift this one, and this nu of t becomes nu of mt. So I replaced the small t by mt, the same equation. Okay. Instead of writing this equation in a simple form, you can write, because it is a digital signal. After sampling, what happens? Discretization happens. You will be having discrete numbers now. That's why, as you do in DSP, I remove this equation form and put it in symbolic form. So y of mt can be called ym, x of mt can be called xm, because of minus nt is there, xm minus 1, m minus 1 shift to an now, nu m. Okay, now. So like this, you can put in form. So in this summation, one term I want to take outside. That is going to be when m equal to n. When m equal to n, that means this becomes x of 0. N equal to m means this becomes am. All other terms are there. So okay, right. This is the very important equation. Observe carefully. Ym, that is output, is equal to x naught into am. What is x naught? Where x come from? X is the output of the receiver, which come from the input to the receiver. H come from G, correct? So this X is the final shape of the pulse. Final shape of the pulse coming out of the receiver. What is the shape of the pulse transmitted? G of t. What is coming? X of t, correct? This X of t, which was at origin, X naught, is the expected one. So actually I transmitted at a particular time t is equal to mt. We transmitted one pulse. But here see how many terms are there. There are infinite number of terms are there. That means I sent one pulse. I'm expecting one pulse, but still there are infinite number of terms in my equation. Okay. So this says that what is the pulse I wanted as output is x naught into am. Correct? X naught into am. Am was the original amplitude of the symbol I sent. But this am is changed to x naught into am. X naught is a scaling factor due to transmitting filter, channel, receiver. Everybody put together changes this am by x naught into am. And what about the summation, other terms? These other terms are unexpected values coming out of the output. Correct? See, what are these unexpected? Where these are coming from? These are coming from x m minus 1. Okay. So what is this x m minus 1? X m minus 1 is shift, n shift. That means if there is a pulse, it's next pulse, next pulse, next pulse, or previous pulse, like this. That means that expected pulse or wanted pulse, if you try to get that output, it will be having some additional term, additional information added by the previous pulses. So got the idea? So I'm going to conclusion. Guys, carefully observe this statement. If you send a pulse through transmitting filter, channel, and receiving filter, you will get that output. Fine. But the output pulse, what you are getting, is influenced by not only itself, but also by neighboring pulses, other pulses, which are just previous to that and next to that, or next to that. How many pulses influence your present pulse? Maybe infinite. All the pulses may influence. Correct? So other pulses can affect your present pulse. Correct. This is what is called ISI, inter-symbol interference. Read this statement. The second term on the right-hand side, which is the second term in the summation, this fellow, this summation. represents the effect of the other symbols at the time instant t is equal to mt, called ISI, inter-symbol interference. In general, ISI causes degradation of the performance of the digital communication system. Finally, the third term represents the additive noise. Okay, let me conclude. OEM, the received signal, a received symbol, consists of transmitted symbol with amplitude AM. But AM doesn't remain AM. AM is multiplied by X naught. Who produced X naught? The transmitting filter, channel, or receiver, everybody put together, they multiply my AM by X naught. So AM value changes by some value. After that, not only these filters, also my neighboring pulses, other pulses going along with this pulse also added some information here, added value. So this also changes this AM value. So it is making my life difficult in identifying AM. Plus noise. New AM is a white noise. Correct? In this chapter, I'm not worried about this white noise. I'm worried about this summation sign. What is the effect of other symbols on the present symbol? This is called inter-symbol interference. Okay. In the next class, we have to study about inter-symbol interference in detail. Okay. Everybody should undergo this concept in mind. So what is the effect of one symbol on the other symbol? So because they are going to cause distortion in the communication, right? So we shall end the session. Next class we shall go through the other topic. Okay.